Good morning. It is 5 a.m. Just finished knocking out client check-ins. I've got a little workstation set up here in my garage with my walking desk. And I just built this like rudimentary table. So walking treadmill, and then I just built this little desk. I did that because I noticed that every time that I've tried setting up a walking desk or trying to set up a walking treadmill at my desk, since my desk can rise up and down, it's very rickety. I've got two big monitors, and so they shake a lot when I try to work and walk. But this way, everything's bolted to the wall. It's separate from the desk, and so it's just way more stable. And I can get away from my office from a bit. So I'll sometimes work here, or if I want to get out of the office, I'll bring a board and do the same kind of setup just on a treadmill at the gym. So, all right, anyway, we're 28 days out, less than a month. And this week was one of the more mentally nerve-wracking and concerning weeks for me. Lots of scary stuff. I'm fine, but just a lot of scary stuff that made me really worried, and I had to really course correct and rethink my plan. So first off, with progress photos, I'm looking okay. I'm still not as lean as I need to be. My glute lines are finally coming in. I'm still just soft in my glutes and my lower back, still soft in the abdominal region, but like I gotta count my blessings. Like I'm the leanest I've ever been in my entire life. So like that's really cool. And this just means that if I can do really good in the off season and just treat my off season as serious as I did my prep, I should get even leaner the next time around. So some positives there. So this week, my legs have just not been recovering. So a couple observations. I've completely taken quads out of my programming for the time being. I'll still train hamstrings and calves and abs because those are fine. It's just my quads and my knees have just been feeling awful. And look, I get that like fatigue is normal at this stage, but the amount of fatigue I was feeling 5 weeks out, I couldn't sustain that for another 5 weeks. So energy was at an all-time low. Sleep, I was maybe sleeping every 2 hours and then waking up for a half hour. Just constant brain fog, couldn't leave my chair. I like felt like I had to nap all day long. So from like a work perspective, when I'm trying to run a business, obviously that's not productive. These last couple of weeks when it comes to work, it just has not been my best weeks. So a couple observations. So observations on the training, I'm just taking legs out, and then any leg work that stays in, it's very low volume, like 2 to 3 RIR at the max. I'm not taking things to failure anymore. Other observations that I made about myself is my calories, I think, were just way too low. I just got way too ambitious. Cardio wasn't super high, but I think in conjunction with the lower calories and with my leg trainings, the cardio was just fucking beating up my legs. And I just was useless. I mean, it was to the point I couldn't even flex my legs in my poses. I couldn't feel my quads and my hamstrings contract. I couldn't squeeze them. So that's not good. So what I did last week was I did 2 just de-output days. I didn't increase calories. I maybe brought it up like just a couple hundred, but I did 2 de-output days. I didn't train, I didn't walk, I didn't do cardio. I just sat there and let my legs rest. The only activity I got was 1 day of 20 minutes of posing, and my legs actually felt really good. Squeezing them like that, kind of pumping blood into my legs felt good. And after those, I think I really needed those de-output days, because the following day I felt great. So I got to course correct to just survive these last 4 weeks. I've got 3 more weeks of solid cutting to get the last bit of fat off, and then I've got a peak week getting ready for the show to wash off fatigue. So I have to make changes. So upon reflection, what I've done on the food side since the calories were so low and it was affecting my all day energy. It was like, kind of counterproductive. I've brought calories back up. I'm now at 2,600 calories on training days and 1,900 calories on rest days. So it's about a 400 calorie increase. I've done that for 2 days now, and immediately energy just skyrocketed. I feel so good. As far as expenditure goes, continue training. I'm taking cardio out completely. The only cardio I'm doing is posing for 25 minutes every single day. And I put a heart rate monitor on when I was posing, and I noticed that I was like getting to zone 3, zone 4 just from posing. So I think that is more than a viable form of cardio right now, and it doesn't beat me up. My legs actually feel better after posing than if I were to do like a traditional form of cardio. So with the increase in food and an increase in energy, I'm creating the deficit by just increasing steps. So I was doing like 10 to 12,000 steps plus cardio plus lower food. For these last 3 weeks, I'm increasing calories and then bringing my steps from 10K plus cardio to just 16K total. And we'll see if I can handle that. And just really taking my time with my walks, not trying to like speed walk. So, and I talk a lot with Cass, and Cass has the same kind of problem. I guess genetically, he just doesn't respond well when food drops. He responds way more favorably when he increases activity over dropping food. So like for him right now, he's down like 3 pounds or 30 pounds in 2 months, and his steps are, 20 to 25,000 steps a day, right? So, I think that's the route that I'm gonna go. I think like reflecting on my previous cutting attempts, yeah, it's pretty apparent that I don't think my body responds very well to lower calories. It just continues to just adapt and feel worse and worse and worse. When I was in college, granted this is like 10 years ago, but when I was in college, my food is really high, but I was exercising every single day. I was teaching group fitness classes 4 or 5 hours a day, and I looked great then. There might be something there. So anyway, increasing overall activity as opposed to dropping food. So now the plan for the next 4 weeks is, my original plan was I was gonna run a practice peak week 3 weeks out, do 1 more week of dieting 2 weeks out, and then peak going into the show 1 week out. I don't have time to do that. I'm just not lean enough. A peak only makes sense in the way that you see them on the way other bodybuilders do it. Only makes sense if you are just absolutely peeled. There's no point in peaking. There's no amount of peaking that's gonna make you look good on stage if you're just not lean enough. And I'm just not lean enough for a peak to make sense. So really my best bet is to just get as much fat off for these last 3 weeks. So now, because of that, I'm gonna be running a pretty conservative peak, like a really light peak going into the competition. I'm not gonna do any crazy fat manipulation, carb manipulation, water manipulation. I'm not doing anything crazy like that. I'm just gonna make sure that I can make weight on Friday, dehydrate, and then just show up dry. If I can make weight, I might just do like a moderate conservative carb load, like Tuesday through Thursday, but nothing crazy. What matters most is conditioning. Even if I have to sacrifice a little fullness, that's the plan. Just maintain energy, keep legs happy for these just last 21 days. Try to drop as much fat as I can, and then peak. I'm learning a lot through the process, that's for sure. I'm learning that I might respond better to higher output, not lower intake. So I'll take that into consideration the next time around. And I'll even take that into consideration in the off season. So in the off season, instead of reducing activity and increasing food to facilitate a slight surplus for muscle growth, I might increase food and maintain activity. So like, I don't know, bring cardio back in because I'll have the energy to do so. Keep steps high on top of increasing food a little bit. And then on the next prep around, just titrate the activity as opposed to dropping food. I think I'll also next prep, I'll play around with the Matador diet. I've been running the Matador diet with a lot of clients who also have issues with like adaptability and just hitting plateaus really quick, which I already know that I do. And they're seeing results with it. So it's just kind of like an undulating caloric rotation of like 2 weeks of a deficit, 1 week of maintenance. Scott Stevenson in his book, he doesn't call it the Matador diet, but he kind of runs something similar. So for every 4 weeks of dieting, or for every month of dieting, he adds 1 week of calories at maintenance. So like 3 weeks of a deficit, 1 week of maintenance. I didn't really do that this whole time. I had a couple refeeds here and there, a couple de-output days out of necessity, but I think next time around I'll be a little more structured about taking more breaks, maybe a longer prep. So lots of lessons learned, but that's the whole reason why I wanted to do this. I didn't want to coach because I wanted to learn. I wanted to make my own mistakes. So once again, I'm grateful for the screw ups. I'm grateful for the learning. I'm grateful for the lessons. I'll probably walk for 5 or 6 more minutes, make my first meal, get more steps, continue working on some client programs. But we're in the 20s now, man. We're getting there. So, all right, see you next week.